All righty. Hello, incredible greetings. Hi, everyone. We are going to do tumblers again. I don't think you could ever, get too much training and just having those examples of in the demos and stuff of tumblers and just reinforcing the technique that I use to get no ghosting, perfect seams, of course, vibrant colors is because we're using on this week of sublimation paper. So we're going to go through that again. I have 2 tumblers that I have to do. Yeah, so let's oh, I muted it. So hello everyone, how are you doing? I don't even know how long I've been muted. If you guys heard anything that I said, I'll go through the intro again, but right now I'm going to share this out. No ghosting. All right, so let's copy this and paste. Not paste, post. All right, so just got to share this out. Share to a group. Let me share out again. So I have one more share to, oh wait, am I sharing the wrong thing? Oh Lord, I think I shared the wrong one. Oh goodness. Okay. I think I shared the wrong video. We'll see in a minute. All right, so that's all shared out. Let's see. Let me make sure that it's also not blurry. My live video earlier, it was blurry. So that looks to be pretty good. Over there. And okay. So let's get into it. All right. I'm gonna grab my blade here. And oh, almost forgot. I gotta set up my phone. Hold on. All right. Let's go. All right. That's all set up. So I've done this a few times before, but like I said, it's always good to just kind of get a refresher. Maybe you missed something on the last one. Maybe you were trying our technique, but something still was just, not quite working out. So I'm going to do it again. And these are for the next thing I have to press. Supplies that we are going to use. Sublimation paper, right? This is Honestly SpINKing sublimation paper. Of course, we're going to use Honestly SpINKing sublimation ink. And we are going to use tumblers from Johnson's Plastics Plus. I like theirs because it comes with a big bottle. It's more of a flat edge on the bottom. It's a good edge too. That's also going to help you avoid ghosting. So that's a big part of where you might get the ghosting from as well. It's from the type of tumbler that you're using and how the bottom is shaped. Okay, so tumblers, your print. This is not for this. I don't need butcher paper at all for this. Now, if you are using a paper or you're using a tumbler press, you may need it. I'm going to use an oven for this, and we're going to need X-Acto knife or a straight blade, something, so you can use a rotary cutter. I like a rotary cutter, but you can also use an X-Acto knife, a straight edge, with a ruler, or just anything that's like a nice solid straight edge, or you can use scissors. My lovely bracelet. This is courtesy of 20oz. This is a very, very expensive, top of the line painter's tape from 20oz. It's a whole $1.25 plus tax for this amazing tape bracelet that's going to come in handy for your scenes. So we're going to use the 20oz painter's tape. And we're also going to use, I'm actually going to do this 2 different ways because people always ask if I don't have the 1-inch tape. I only have like the 1/2 inch. Can I still do this? So I'm going to do it with the 1/2 inch tape, but you're going to need heat tape. So I have my 1/2 inch here. Where did my 1-inch go? My preference is 1 inch. So I have my 1-inch tape, and then you want either 2 or 3-inch heat tape. So I use this. All right. So these are all the supplies that I use and a squeegee. These are all the supplies that I use whenever I am making tumblers. And these are the steps that I use in an oven. Even if I had a tumbler press, I would still pretty much use these same things. Maybe I probably wouldn't need the heat tape because it's going to squeeze it and create that pressure at the top. And I just have to rotate it if I ever use one. I like the oven because I can fit like 15, 20 tumblers in the oven at one time and get them done in 5 to 6 minutes with that many in there. Like this with just the 2, they're going to be done in 4 minutes. So this is everything. All right. So if you want to take a picture, take a screenshot, write it all down. But this is everything that I use for tumblers. Yes, this is that exclusive tape. Exactly. It's from 20oz, okay? Can't get this anywhere. Someone says, yes, my favorite place to shop. You love me some 20oz, child. Like it's like Target, make it seem fancy. So that's everything. I'm going to put this down here. Okay. The next thing, like one of the top things is when you are creating your design, like you're putting it and you're creating your template, stuff like that, you want to have some overlap of color. You do not want your template to be the exact same size as your tumbler. All tumblers are not created equal. 9.35 is a good width. That is kind of universal for most 20-ounce tumblers. It's either going to, be just a slight overlap, or it might be a little bit more of an overlap with some of the ones that are a little bit smaller, a little bit skinnier. But I use 9.35 for the width, and I use 8.15 for my height. I used to do 2.5, but that was giving me too much extra, and I like all that extra. So 0.15 works for me. Once you measure it, you just want to add a little bit to it, like at least 0.125, so that you have that overlap. but it cannot be to where from edge to edge, it butts up against each other in the back. You're going to get that white line. You have to have some of that overlap of the colors so that when it's gassing out, it's like it's you don't take the chance of like, okay, if you didn't quite cut it, it didn't quite reach, and as it's gassing out, you're going to get that line. So that's first. That's one of the key things is to make sure that you do have a little bit of overlap from side to side so that they go on top. Not only do you want the overlap from the image itself or the print itself, you want to have some overlap of your paper so that it's not right to the edge. That is going to give you a little bit more leverage to pull it tight and make sure that there are no air gaps for the gas to get out. So I typically print these on 8.5 by 11 so that I don't have to cut it and it lines up perfectly, but I didn't do this one like that. So I'm going to try to still get a very straight line by using my cutting mat. I'm lining the edge up to the edge of so to the edge of one of these lines and making sure this line is like in the middle. And I'm going to use that oh man, I can't see it on the other side. Hold on. All right, so we're going to do it. Okay, so it's this line right here. So I'm going to do it based off of this edge because I need to be able to see. Oh, that's not where that needs to go. Oh, come on. All right. Okay. I just like to make sure that my edges are straight because when I go to wrap it, I know that it's going to line up. So I'm all about having straight edges. Okay. Now you're going to cut down one of the sides. For me, whichever is the longest side, I normally cut down, but I also kind of have my design set up. So this one, this is actually supposed to be the edge I cut to make sure that it didn't cut into this, but I'm going to cut. This actually is a design where it really doesn't matter. But normally the side that I put my logo on is normally the side that I cut down. But again, I printed this to 11 by 17 paper and I forgot to move it over. So I'm just going to cut down this side. You want to cut right to the edge and really cut a little bit into the design. And you want to, well, on that strip that you take off, you want to see some color on that, which is another reason why we did it with a slight, like it's slightly bigger, because we're going to cut into that just a little bit. What you're doing when you do that is making sure that there is no white, because if you go right to the edge, you're trying to cut it to the edge. If you cut it kind of off and there's still a sliver of white there, when you go to put that down, that white is going to show up. So when you cut it, you want to make sure that you are inside the color just a smidge, okay? You actually want to cut off some of the color. Now, I'm not on a hard surface, so I kind of have to do this twice. But there is, I'm going to show you guys first. There is color on there. And then you can see, I'm not sure if you guys can see it over there, but there is some color on that side. All right. So now that we have that, I don't really do like wiping it down with alcohol and all that. To me, it takes too long for it to dry. I find that it leaves streaks. So for me personally, I don't use alcohol, but I will wipe it down, whether it's with a microfiber towel or, you know, a shirt or something, just something that just doesn't have lint, just to make sure, like, because it's been out of the box, there's no dust or debris on it. But I don't really do the alcohol. I just wipe it down. Okay. We're going to take our print, put it on here, and the side that you cut down is what goes onto your tumbler. That's what goes onto your tumbler, the side that you cut down. Oh, let me see if you guys can see. I'm gonna have to go from camera to camera because of the angle this is at. So as you can see, hold on, let me kind of try and get this. I have a little bit of ink that's below it. And then also at the top is a slight, like a little bit of ink above it. So I don't have a lot of extra. And that's just going to make sure, especially depending on what type of design that you're doing, if you want to make sure something doesn't get cut off, you want like a certain spacing, like you don't want to have too much extra on there. So by having everything straight, when I go to wrap this, if my top and my bottom line up, especially with this one, there is a red line on the inside. There is like distinctive parts that meet. By having those reference points, we can't see underneath this. So if you cut it all crazy, you're not going to know if your sections are lining up. But if you have a nice straight edge and you line those up, chances are it's going to be pretty much spot on for those areas lining up, because I have a yellow part and I have a red. And then you can also kind of look at the top. So I am off a little bit up here. So I'm not sure if I don't know, over here, you guys, I don't think the way the camera is and that shine, you probably can't see it. So going off of that, I am going to adjust this just a little bit. All right, now, come on now. Okay, that's perfect right there. So I like to wrap it to just make sure that it's nice and tight and snug to it. Again, my preference is the 1-inch tape. Take this and we put it across and I push it, and it's because we have the extra paper, it's also helping to pull it tighter. So I do the one in the middle. Then I do a piece at the top, put it down. So as I'm putting it on, I'm also like I'm pushing it, which means I'm pulling the paper this way and just pushing it down to the side. That helps keep it tight. And then I just put those in the middle. All right. We're going to go push that up just a little bit there. Okay. Now on the bottom edge, I like to put a piece of tape. I'm going to cut this because it is quite a bit around the edge. So I'm going to cut this first. I'm not cutting into the design at all. When you cut into the design, especially if you're not cutting in a nice sharp, a nice straight line, once you put it onto your tumbler, all of those different variations of the cut, you're going to see it on the bottom of your tumbler. So by me not cutting into this on the bottom, it's going to give me a nice clean edge. So I do not cut into my design. Another reason why we don't make the template or like for your design, like basically your template, you don't make it too big, because when you have all that extra paper and you're cutting it, you're going to see all of that on the bottom. It's not going to be a nice clean edge. Now, if you're asking questions over on TikTok, I'm in front of the camera, so I cannot see it. You know, when I ask if you have questions, I'll be behind it. So, and then you can post your questions. So I'm not ignoring you if you're posting questions over on TikTok. All right. So I'm going to take my heat tape and I'm going to put this across the bottom and push that inward. This is so that when I put my painter's tape, it's not touching the tumbler. Our tape is non-staining, non-marking. You're not going to get any yellow marks. But if you put painter's tape, especially the Dollar Trust one, it's so exclusive and so expensive that like it leaves its mark on everything. You might get adhesive, and it might be red adhesive, depending on like which batch it is. So we want to make sure that that adhesive does not get anywhere on our tumbler. So we put the heat tape here so that I can put the tape and then it's going to be on top of here and the adhesive won't get on the tumbler. That makes sense? I'm going to use my squeegee just to also make sure that this does not roll off. We're going to take our painter's tape and it's going to go across the seam. So now when I'm putting this down, that tape is on the heat tape and not my tumbler. Okay? And I'm just going to go over this with my squeegee. Now on my top edge, I like to cut that down as well because I don't like to have a lot of overlap. The more overlap you have, the more it's going to bunch up and the more likely you're going to have air pockets that your gas can escape from, and that will cause ghosting on the top of your tumbler. So I want it, again, I'm not cutting into the design. I cut the white area around it just to kind of just not have so much. Oh, I cut this. Dang it. All right, hopefully that doesn't mess up. All right, I'm going to put a piece of heat tape there and hopefully keep that in place. So we're just going to, so what I do is just kind of go up around it just to crease it inside so that I can stand it up flat so that I can put my painter's tape around it. You can just, some people are okay with doing just the heat tape, and if that works for you, that's great. I find that it can be hit or miss with using just the heat tape with certain ovens. Now, because I use our regular big oven, like I use a big oven, I can do it with or without the painter's tape, but I like to show it with the painter's tape because if you have the smaller countertop ovens, it can affect that because like the way the heat and stuff is. So I always show it with the painter's tape. So I'm going to put this here. It's along the side. We're going to pull it tight. You can lay your tumbler down and rotate it, like roll it like this. That will also help keep the tape taut and tight, or you can just wrap it around. Okay. So that's just going to give me that clean edge, and then my tape isn't bunching up because the heat tape can bunch up and that can create air pockets. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of go around this, and we're going to take our heat tape, which I had to open up a new one because I'm out of my other 2-inch tape is finito, darn near. Come on. Oh, wait, actually it's up here. So we put about, if I'm using a 2-inch tape, about 1 inch on the tumbler, about 1 inch above. And you're going to wrap it. And you can do the same thing like you did before where you lay it down and wrap it. That works as well. And now what this is going to do is it's going to seal this area in here because see, it's opening. It's a gap there. The gas can get out. It's not about air getting in. It's about the gas getting out. So because that's open, doing this. Now, if you're using a tumbler press, your tumbler press is going to squeeze this area so you can omit this step. But in an oven, there's nothing squeezing it to keep the gas trapped inside. So we use the heat tape to trap the gas inside. So we're just going to push up and in. You can also pull up on the tape to make sure you're pulling it closer, like really, really close to the tumbler. You don't want any air gaps. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing to the top. Now the top, I really can't omit this part and do just the heat tape because I've already like made sure that it's tight. So I'm going to omit that one and I'm just going to go around with the heat tape. If you are someone that doesn't like tape, I don't know what to tell you. Everyone has different preferences and I am a tape gal. I like tape. Me personally, I rather use tape and lessen the likelihood of ghosting and mistakes versus trying to save on a few cents of tape. This is literally, a few cents for each of these tumblers. So we're just going to push it up and over and into the tumbler. I don't know. I got a little gap right there. Hopefully, that's why I do like my tape. This one kind of like a little wonky. All right. That one's done. So now we're going to do the other one. Any questions? You're going to see if you're just joining, I'm going to do this again. So you're going to get to see me set it up again. So we're about to set up the second one because we're both going to go into the oven at the same time. All right, so 9.35 by 8.15. Yes, that is the size that I use. So that is actually already with the 0.125. So the 0.125 is if you are measuring yours, whatever measurement you got, add on 0.125. But my 9.35 and 8.15 already accounts for that extra 1.25. 0.125, I'm sorry. What press is that? What is what? I don't have, you mean the one that's a Hotronix Fusion IQ. So we just talked about that. So it's 9.35 by 8.15. All right. Did it fall on the other side? Harpo, where did the other print go? Huh? Okay, y'all been watching me all this time. Where I put the other print? Like, no, seriously, where did I do with the other print? I cut it down in half. What did I do with it? Oh, it's on the floor. Okay. So, I was like, where did my shirt go? All right, so some questions over here. Let's see. Which is better to use, oven or heat press? That is totally up to you. I am one. I prefer an oven. I can do a lot more of them in there. I don't have to do. I don't rotate. I don't do any of that. So for me personally, an oven is better. If I was someone that was doing something on site at a location, I would probably look into a heat press because it's going to take up, of course, less electricity and things like that. But just with me making them in house, I personally prefer an oven. Yep, I prefer an oven because I can put more in there at one time, and I don't have to rotate with the paper that I'm using. Honestly speaking, paper. I don't have to rotate anything. So when you're doing a tumbler press, you always have to rotate it, and then you have to press your ends to make sure that you don't have ghosting. So, and then you have to worry about adjusting the pressure. Sometimes it's dialed up too much, and it will cause your paper to kind of like bunch up. Like I don't really have all those issues when it comes to an oven. So me personally, I prefer an oven. I just feel like it's way less steps and less likelihood. Yeah, thank you. Less likelihood for mess ups. All right. So now we're going to, so this one, I am only because of how this is, I need this to be cut down to this side. So I'm going to probably cut a little bit of that off. So we're going to put our ruler here. And I am going to cut that. I don't like to have a lot of overlap. So I am going to cut some of this side off because you really don't need a whole lot. I mean, I could leave it on there, but the reason why I'm also cutting it down, I only like if you were just someone that was pulling it off and cutting like and just doing like random pieces of tape, you could leave that like that because you can create a longer piece. Well, with me using this tape dispenser, if I put that on there, I don't have as much like overlapping to like pull. So I like to kind of cut that back because of the size, the piece of tape that I'm using, the size of the piece of tape that I'm using. So I'm just going to cut that back some just so that my tape is kind of even on both sides. Or I actually want more on the other side than it is like on this side. All right. So as you can see, this is technically going the other way because I cut this side down. Ooh, see this yellow. Oh, wait a minute now. See? There's an eyelash on here. Oh, no. See? No, you got to get wiped down again. I don't know if it was something on here. Yep, there's something on here. Probably was something on this. Let me wipe this down again because, oh, yeah, that would have left marks. I don't need alcohol, but I want to make sure that there's no dust or debris on it because anywhere where there is an obstruction, the gas isn't going to get onto the tumbler. So we just want to make sure that we just wipe it down and make sure that there's nothing on the tumbler that could prevent the gas from adhering to it. Because that'll just leave like a little white spot. Okay. So the yellow one here is really light, so I couldn't really tell where it was overlapping at. Oh, dang it. I cut this piece off. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to use this piece because it's already cut off. But I was going to show if you're using the thinner tape, it's just going to take more pieces to make sure that it's nice and tight. Dang it, it's a little bit off, but it's okay. I really don't have a lot of extra edge on the bottom of that. And see now with using this one, because I can't just put it on there, like me having to go like this and put several pieces. Because I have to have enough of the tape so that my painter's tape doesn't touch the tumbler. All right, so we're going to cut this side down. And then push it in. We're going to take our Dollar Trot painter's tape and put that right over the seam. Also, by cutting it down, you don't have as much paper hanging over, which means you're going to have more tape that's going to connect with your tumbler. If for some reason you're like not quite sure and you feel like, man, there might be an area that's going to be an issue, just grab your piece of tape and put it on the outside and just pull to make sure that that section is close to the tumbler. This tape is going to open up, but by the time it opens up in your oven, it would have basically sublimated that part, so I don't really worry about that, but it will open up in the oven. All right. So when I put them in the oven, for me, I find that putting them, I mean, this is just the open side. So I put them open side down. I have done it where I used to do them like this. I just feel like it's just something, I don't know if it is the case, but like, I feel like when it's this way, the heat's coming up. So it's heating it from the inside and the outside versus the air trying to come down like this way. So it's on like, it's heating like this. So I don't know. It may or may not, but for me, what works best for me, I found to be the most consistent way to not get ghosting is for them to be open side down. So that's how I put them in the oven. My oven is already on. Whenever I'm putting it in the big oven, I preheat. Whenever it is in my regular countertop, Oyster XL, I don't preheat. But the big one, I do preheat. So it is preheated already. I'm going to go put this in the oven and then I will answer any questions that you guys have. All right, so post them and I'm going to come right back. So they're going to go for about 4 minutes. While that's doing that, I'm going to answer any questions that you guys have. And I'm also going to do these mouse pads. That's going with this order as well. Just being weirdly curious, I use heat tape. What happens if painter tape touched your tumbler? So with the Dollar Tree one, it will leave a sticky residue on there. Some people use like the Scotch brand or the frog tape and it doesn't leave a residue, but with the Dollar Tree one, it will leave a sticky residue. Which tape opens in the heat tape? So for me, I do 300 and with the paper that I'm using. So someone else said what heat settings for the oven. So me using this paper, I set mine to 350 for 4 minutes. If you're not using honestly speaking sublimation paper, if you're not printing on plain paper, bright white, and you're using like, let's say premium matte, that's more ink that has to transfer, your settings might be a little bit different. But for me and what I do, 350, 4 minutes is what works best. Thank you guys for double tapping the screen. You double tapping the screen. Those likes helps push us on the For You page. So I thank you guys for the 4,000 likes. Really appreciate it. Dang it. I broke my darn paper. The thicker the tape, the better the grip. So especially since I have 2 of these on here, I'm going to use the wide tape to make sure that it doesn't move. So I'm using my 2-inch tape for this versus using several pieces of 1-inch tape. I use different size tapes for different reasons. So I didn't have to do side, top, bottom, and all that. 2 pieces of tape on each side. All right. So no other questions over there. So I I leave it in for 4 minutes in my large convection oven, and it's actually just it's done right now. Where did my heat glove go? Oh shoot, Lord Jesus, where did I put the heat glove? Mouse pads to me are always I am because they're not a pure white. They have like a bluish or grayish like undertone. So mouse pads for me are always I am when it comes to that. But oh Jesus. So there's that. It's supposed to look like the jar of M&Ms. And then a pack of lemon Oreos. All right, so let me go and get these tumblers. All right, I gotta figure out where my heat glove went. Okay, where are you at? Oh, here it is. All right, this is exactly how it came out of the oven. So when I said the heat tape opens up anyway, it opens up, which is another reason why I don't like to use just heat tape on the tumbler itself, because like if I didn't have the painter's tape there to really keep it down, that tape would come up, and that can also cause ghosting. So you can see here, the tops have come up. Oh, that was it. This is the one that had the 1/2-inch tape. I don't have to wait for it to cool. If you want it to cool, it doesn't affect the color. It's not that you have to pull it off while it's hot. I'm just doing it for, especially for the sake of this video, so I'm not waiting for it to cool off. So it doesn't matter if it's cool or hot. Ooh, that area right. Oh, that's the one where I had to tape it. It doesn't matter when you pull it off. As you can see, I don't put it in like an ice bath or anything like that. That's not needed. Or at least not with, honestly speaking, Salvation paper. It's not needed. So now I just snatch it and it comes right off. Oops. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. All right, if you guys are ready to see the colors, drop those peacocks. I'll take a little pinky pink. If you're ready to see the colors, drop the peacocks. All right. Got a few of them over on TikTok. Where am I peak? Oh, there we go. They're starting to come in. Must have been a delay. All right. So which one? M&Ms or Oreos? Which ones do you want to see first? M&Ms or Oreos? M&Ms or Oreos? Which one should we reveal first? The peacock is our symbol. So it's our drip inverted, and it forms peacock feathers. So that's our symbol. Somebody said both of them. I got an M&M, an Oreo, M&M, M&M. All right, so it's more M&Ms than Oreos. So that would be this one. So I made the middle look like a composition notebook. And it's supposed to be like, so it's like the jar. So it's like the jar of M&Ms. Now, the M&Ms that are here, I couldn't find one that really fit the template. So it ended up being like really, really big. These aren't the best resolution for these, but it's still fine. They look really big. I didn't really want them to look that big in there, but it's fine. That's actually from a jar of M&Ms, and I just blew it up. And then the Oreos. So then instead of Nabisco, we put her name, Miss Sunday. And then instead of whatever they have, sandwich cookies, it says educator of sweet smart cookies. And you can see how crisp that line is at the bottom. Same thing on this one. not sure if I showed the seams. So see, like where this is, you can't even tell. You can't really tell. Like here, of course, because the M&Ms are different, but like here, you can't even really tell where the seam is. And that's what I was saying. Like if I didn't, this would end up having a really big shift and they will be separated and you'll be able to tell where that seam was. Oh, I gotta go take pictures of these before I package them up. Oh, I forgot to turn you off. Uh-oh. All right, let's see. How many would you put in the oven at the same wait, how many would you put in the oven at the same time? So it depends on the size of it. In my oven, I can put 15 in my regular oven. I can put like 15, 20 of them in there. Oh, and then this is what's left. And then there's that little bit of overlap. You can see the difference in color, like that part that was overlapped. So I don't have a whole lot of overlap, just a little bit. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it on your side, but there is just a smidge of color. I don't think it's going to show up on there on the top side, because that's the little bit of overlap that there is. Yes, you can do a lot and it saves time, and I can still do them in like 4 to 5 minutes, especially depending on like the colors, if it's really dark colors, without rotating them or anything like that. So for me, it is faster. I'd rather sit there. I'll prep all my tumblers, put them in the oven, and just let them go for like 5-6 minutes. Tumbler press one at a time, the oven is winning. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit more setup, but you can get more done. All right, y'all, I am out of here. I want to get some pictures taken of these and then get up out of here. So that's that. So there is her matching mouse pad. I wish I actually had coasters, but I don't. I mean, they can use it as one big coaster if they don't want to use it as a mouse pad and like some other stuff, but I didn't have any more coasters, so I just made her a mouse pad. And see, this one almost like this one flat out really looks like the jar. And all of these were designed in Silhouette Studio. Like every part of this. Kind of wish I would have printed this in ICM instead of, because it's like a lot of, to me, it's a lot of red undertones. So like flat, it looks like a bag of Oreos that you're opening up. A pack of Oreos. So that's that. Oh, I made this shirt, I don't know how long ago. Protecting my peace? Yes, God. And I felt like I had to do that today. Love the work. Thanks for sharing. You're very welcome. Would the 4-minute bake time remain the same for more quantities? So depend. Like if it was lighter colors, I could still do 4. I mean, it's a big oven, and that the heat is even in there, and there's actually a good seal on a large, like a regular convection oven, like your regular standard oven, and there's no air in there, no nothing. 4 minutes probably could work, but because it is so much, just to make sure, because it is so many in there, and when you put them in there and they're all cold, it could affect it. With our paper, it doesn't really burn because I'm not laying it down. So I'm not really worried about it really burning. So I'll probably leave it, like I said, depending on how many I put in there, maybe 5-6 minutes. But I'm never really worried about leaving it in there past that and it burning because our paper really doesn't burn. Now, I can't speak for other papers, but our paper does not burn if you let it go past 4 minutes. Some, like you have to catch it, like you have to find that right time. Anything past that, it starts to burn. Our paper doesn't do that. Aw, thank you. That's sweet. Thank you. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so very much. Until next time. Oh, wait. Just to say, I'm enjoying the 30-day challenge Silhouette Studio and the Q&A from the ladies. Awesome. Yeah, that's why I left that in there to where you still get all the questions because it may be some of the same questions that you have. Yes, some of the other papers, it will burn. So I've actually left some in there because I was talking or teaching. So I've left them in there past the 4 minutes and nothing happens. So I mean, if you leave it in there for like 10, 15, yeah, it'll, it's gonna burn, but it doesn't like you can leave it like 5-6 minutes and you'll still be good. All right, until next time, have a great one. Don't forget to visit the website, shop at HSINK365 for your sublimation ink and paper that allows you to press at 365 for 30 seconds and do your tumblers at 350 in just, it's really 3-minute tumblers. I can actually do these in 3 minutes, but I always do 4 when I'm teaching for the sake of others. But if you test it, you really can get these done in 3 minutes, especially if it's lighter colors like watercolors. You can do 3 minutes with those tumblers, but with our paper. All right.